Good afternoon. Welcome to OptionsTender. It's Wednesday, April 30th, 2025. It's the end of the month, so I want to show this monthly candle. Just an insane candle here. So we have a lot going on. We have earnings for Microsoft and Meta tonight, and we have Apple and Amazon tomorrow. So that's going to be a huge influence on what happens next. And so there's no real predicting what's going to happen. But we can be reactionary, okay? So you can be on the sideline, you can have your biased directional, plays going on, but have your hedges on, and that's where we sit. So I'm still in the camp that we do head a little bit lower before going higher, just to kind of satisfy the type of cycles that are going on. I just did an individual analysis video for our SPX cycles and timings and things like that. So if you're interested in becoming that kind of member, it's $4.99 a month, and then I'll post that video up top here right in the beginning. All right, and if you want to see where the market is going ultimately, in my opinion, there's a bear market 2025 video that will be at the end of this. Okay, we're doing this intraday about noon Eastern Standard Time. If you want to get these videos intraday, consider becoming a 99-cent YouTube member, and that comes with the Discord. It comes with everything except for those individual videos. All right, so lots of value in that. So we have SPX on the monthly, massive candle here. What could happen is and this is what I would think happens a little bit more than I lean this way, where we might have a slight low or an inside month here, and possibly even a double inside month after this type of move before continuing lower. So what happens when you have large moves? Either price moves sideways and wastes time and lets the moving averages come to them, or they have large moves, correctionary moves that go more in price that get to the moving averages and reject off of there. So keep that in mind as we go through these different time frames and through the entire analysis. Okay, so here's the weekly time frame, and this one's again the most important reference for what I think is happening in a recession, and we're looking for that kiss of death. So we have the 20-week moving average in the yellow here, and price is holding on to this 8 EMA. Do we go directly to that 20, right, in the 50s there as well? Or, and that would be good resistance as well. Oh, we have marijuana stocks. By the way, speaking of MSOS, I call it MSOS, we are heavily into MJ, and if you want to know about the cannabis market, I'll post that video up top as well. So we'll have the individual analysis and the cannabis. Yeah, I think it's a generational buy, and we've been buying every single week. So with this 8 EMA, do we grind higher, get to that 20, kiss of death, and head lower at that point? We're going to keep that in mind. Or do we reject here off of earnings and get weak and test the lows before starting more of a consolidation? Now, that could be much more similar like 2008, where we had a drop first. 2000, where we had a drop first, and then we had 180 days forming this large sideways wedge that went all the way, I believe, to the 786 retracement, but it took like 180 days to happen. I'm not necessarily looking for that, but I want to keep an open mind on what's happening here. So that's why we do these videos so often. So we have to trade this as well. Let's go to the daily. And so if you're bullish right now and earnings is going to accelerate us up and continue, this is the optical way to look at it. Okay, so this is, we showed this in past videos, but I know that people are in and out of this channel. So this ascending triangle here. We had the supposed breakout, right, into resistance and pulling back, and we're holding back in that shelf at about 54.50. Also, we're holding that 8 EMA. So there's no denying that the momentum is up so far, and that's why we're getting a reaction. But if we lose this, then this could easily, end up being my dominant thesis. But we don't have proof of that. All right. Price dropped heavily today. Everybody was bearish. And we got this nice, so we took some profit and we added on some TQs for hedges in the near term, just because the tech market is what's going to drive things in this, propel things in the next few days. And so they started to work out well, right away. So at this point, posture holding up well on the daily time frame is holding up bullish. Now we have mixed ideas because we're bearish on the weekly. All right, so that's what's happening right now. But this could end up grinding at the 50 next. And then where our target would go, there's MJ. It's moving. There's a 200 moving average right up here. And it's just about coinciding right with that 20-week moving average. Okay, so that would be our target area. Can price go higher? Of course. Can we get to the 618 retracement, come all the way back and continue a larger scale correction? Absolutely. There's tons of things that can constantly happen. And we continue to monitor what's going on. So let's look at some of these indicators at this point. This one simply told us that we were overbought extremely. And so we needed this correction. Is it over? Not quite so sure that it's over yet, but we'll see what earnings does. We're still in overbought territory, coming down a little bit. We had negative divergence on that last move up there. So looking at the MACD, we're still pushing higher, but all we're doing is getting to that neutral area. Okay, so this could easily roll over. We can continue the move downward. And then if we're still bearish, I will show you the optical view on the wedge. And that's what I've shown in the last video. So everybody can paint a picture. That's what makes a market. Everybody can paint a bullish and a bearish picture. So we're starting to get the early sell signal, the bearish cross here in the slow stoke. So something to keep an eye on. And we were overbought on the RSI. Now that mattered because of the Bollinger Bands, and we'll see that in a few minutes. Our DMARC. All right, we're at a 6 count. So working our way 6 count, and the next few days could take us up higher, and we could get that 9 count possible sell signal. So that's why we're going to continue to monitor this. If we get up, we have a 6 count, and we can grind our way, or maybe even get a quicker move here into the 200 and have a 9 count. That's going to be a good sell signal for us. Awesome oscillator starting to turn positive. So can we continue to see a positive movement in this? Of course, if we hold 54.50, then clearly if you're bullish, you just have to keep that level. All right, you can put your back on that level and we get back under it, boom, you're out, right? So it depends on your entry, it depends on, but this overall analysis is just giving you an idea to react off of what's occurring and what we possibly think could happen after. Okay, so we have our divergences on. We have the money flow index. So, it's not quite there yet. If we continue to grind higher into those levels, then we're going to get into the overbought situation. So that could be setting us up for that. We'll just have to see what Wednesday night and Thursday night brings about. We have a lot, just big tech earnings. Could have a lot of influence. Volume stuff, no need. Bollinger Band, there's, it was on the 65. We showed it yesterday why we had a sell signal on the 65. So this one, there's no setup on the Bollinger Bands here, other than if price gets a little bit lower, we could hold this 20, but then we can go to higher prices and push on the higher side of the Bollinger Band, but nothing, no trade off of the Bollinger Band. Okay, Elliott Oscillator, just basically the same thing as the Awesome Oscillator. They work off of moving averages, so they're very similar, but getting to that positive territory. Okay, looking at daily timing, we're just about, we started to get into this cluster right now. So this cluster goes to May 2nd. So maybe we're going to grind or pop a little higher. Maybe we get all the way to 200 and in this cluster have a high in, or is this just as of today, the low is in? We'll see what happens in this cluster. Then we have another one coming up after around 512. Okay, so our bullish and bearish scenarios. Here is the bearish scenario. So we're at the 50% and we're starting to get back on top of it. We're holding on as if this is an ascending triangle. So we have a target fib area up top here where it's the 62% retracement from the entire move. So again, that could be a possible spot to turn, or the 200 moving average a little bit higher, around 575. All right, and our situation here is, again, we're just looking for some sort of correction. We had our first move down here. Is it done? I think so. A or a 1, and we're looking for a B or 2, but how does that play out? That's the question. Because really we have a 3-wave move in here right now. So the A could be done. If we start to grind higher, then our A can be higher. That really doesn't matter at that point. I'll just show you on the 65 what we're looking at for these scenarios, but this could end up playing out as a triangle if this is a B wave, okay? So we could finish our A wherever it finishes, B, C, D, and E, and waste time, and then have a drop. That's a possibility too. We could have a flat pattern, A, B, C, where we just about make almost equal highs or something symmetrical. A lot to look forward to. All right. So I'm going to go down. I'm going to go around the horn with Qs, SMH, all those. Here's the wedge. Here's the bearish point of view. All right. If that's the case, I'm just drawing. This is just a level of interest to look at. Really, it's just a pivot. This doesn't mean anything yet. There's only 2 points. You could draw 2 points anywhere. So just keeping an eye on that, SMH. So if this is a breakout or back testing, and SMH could continue higher, perhaps into those levels up here. We have to 50. 200 is way up there. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let me go back to the Q so you can see those moving averages. And so we pushed off of that 50-day moving average, so that can also be another reason why price broke down. But holding that 8 EMA, so the momentum's still up. No arguing that. SMH held that 8 EMA along with the back test. If this was a good channel, there's only 2 points holding that top there. Not a strong argument. IWM holding the 8 EMA just like everything else. Here's our wedge. If this wedge breaks down, that's our bearish scenario. Is this move complete, or is this the wave 4 that we're talking about? We have one more low in IWM. This will be a big teller. DIA holding that 8 EMA, held the 20 moving average today. Have a little slope here to get over, and then there's a potential downtrend, but that could result in an ascending triangle as well. All right, so we'll have to keep an eye on that as well. So the VIX, this is what we were really looking at in a pattern. So a traditional sense, we had the breakout. Are we just back testing? Okay, we have the breakout. Are you back testing, or is this thing going to continue to fail and we make a larger wedge out of that? But the thing to really look at this is that we're, as of yesterday, this low could be in. We're in these cycle lows, and this could be hinting to us that price action is going to bring us lower. That's what I'm keying into. We'll see if that comes into fruition. Okay, let's go through, not soy, we're going to look at SPY. Let me know if you want to look at soybeans, all right? On SPY, we're going to take a look at the different scenarios. Okay, first of all, our traditional look. We're looking at just, again, some sort of pivot, all right? We're back under it. Not sure that that's going to mean anything. It's this wedge that really matters here. So are we going to go close the gap and then probably close the gap up here if that's the case, or test it? We'll see. Is this a higher low? Again, we don't know that. Or is this a wedge? We'll see with earnings. So the moving averages, holding on to, we're underneath the 8 and the 20, but holding on to the 200. So get below the 200, and I think we can, at minimum, go down to the trend line. And then that'll be a big test to see if this, possible ascending triangle holds up. Okay, with the MACD, we still have a bearish crossover here. We're in bullish territory, so this could come back to the 0 line and then continue an uptrend. So again, this could be just a little bit, start of a little bit more of a correction. Going into the bottom edge of the options expected move. Yeah, I'm just going to get rid of this. We don't need this right now. And then we were oversold here on the gap down, and we could form a positive divergence. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. If price goes a little bit lower, we form a positive divergence. That might be a good spot to, again, add on some protection. This could continue higher. But nothing to really go off of here, especially bullish. And then we have the slow stoke headed lower. So if you're bullish, you have some headwinds at you. And with the DMARC, once again, just the 9, good 9 there. Even when you have the 9 buy signal, we did get the buy. We dropped lower, but we got the buy here and then dropped lower. So, this is marking good turns here. 9 here, 9 here. And we're counting out a 13. Let's see what happens with this one. Awesome oscillator. We had negative divergence. That helped get us a drop overnight here. Is the drop done? That's the big question. The money flow index got into that oversold territory or overbought territory. All right. And that caused a sell-off. Do we oscillate to the lower end? And if we go higher, really, we're going to have to see a higher level in this, or you're going to start forming negative divergence. And the Bollinger Band is what we had a sell signal yesterday. All right. And prices are getting really tight in here. So I think a big move's coming. And again, my guess is it goes lower, but I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate if we took a direct shot up to the 200. That'd be a good sell spot there. We'll see what forms at that point. But I just have a feeling we're going to go a little bit lower because of some of the things that we already talked about today. So here's the scenarios. Here is what I think is likely to happen, because bull or bear, I think this situation is more likely to happen. So this is a larger flat, and this could end up happening from a higher point here that doesn't really change a whole lot, but we have a possible 5-wave move that's in here. And so I'll show you the alternate scenario if this extends. But for now, I think the structure is complete as a wedge, and we have an A. We had a 3-wave move up for A, 3-wave move, flat pattern for B, and then a 5-wave move up for C. That's all one higher degree A wave. We get some sort of B, right? And then we get a 5-wave move up for C. So this gives us a larger correction and takes much more time off the clock before heading lower. That's my primary scenario. Here is the bullish scenario. It says the same thing. It's really the same price action, except you keep going to the upside. And this is just labeled as a 1, 2. So this would end up being a 1. There's a flat pattern here, 2, 3, 4, 5. Either way, they're going to be counted the same way. So that's where bulls and bears both come in together. Now, if this flat pattern that we looked at before was looked at more of as an ascending triangle, and we hold this breakout zone, aka breakout zone, right? Then you have your A was back here, your B into that flat pattern, and this 5-wave move up was actually a wave 1. All right, for an extended, so that would be a 5-wave move for 1. Now we're getting wave 2. And 3 and 4 and 5 to complete the B wave as a direct move, and that would probably form just a larger wedge as price happened, and then you can look for a drop after that. So this would be a direct shot for the B, and then I think we get a lower low, not enough necessarily lower low. The B wave can go expanded, and this doesn't change anything. So this is the scenario. It's the same B wave except expanded. It went a little bit lower than the initial structure. So it's an expanded flat. A, B, expanded, and then C, rip your face off rally for a 5-wave move that goes into that B wave. Again, that would just take off more time off the clock before continuing our bear market. And all of these ABCs are acceptable, and that's what we'll be looking for. So I'm not going to go through the individual names. Let's look at MJ. Just getting a fantastic move here on MJ. Now starting to really give us a bullish structure here. I shouldn't have took it off 65. So looking at this, we had a possible 5-wave move up here, and then a shallow wave 2, and now we're forming more structure, 1, 2, and so this is another wave 3. This thing can continue to just ramp. So doing very well. We have this channel breaking out of the channel now. I think before no time we're going to be up in this 28, 27 area, depending on how long it takes. And this is just a much, much larger wedge before our prices start to accelerate, in my opinion. All right, I'm going to end it there. Thanks for joining us here at OptionsTender. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you in the next video.